Power scaling the four main champions, Gannicus, Crixus, Spartacus as well as Oenomaus. Let's begin with the god Crixus. When he was first introduced, he already had the potential to rise to the positions of a champion, and so stated Borealis when he bought him. Crixus was the one who earned his way up honorfully to be champion of the Ludis. He beat Octis with very little training, with sheer will, a seasoned gladiator by the way, usually much further ahead than Crixus was. He fought Gannicus and already showed a sense of skill, almost beating Gannicus by pure luck though. He beat the Shadows of the Jackal, two very strong opponents on his own, solo. He beat Gannicus in the end fight in Gods of the Arena, though Gannicus let him win, a really important point to preserve. I would rank Crixus below the three others. I do not see Crixus beating Spartacus, Gannicus, let alone Oenomaus. Evident enough, he lost to Gannicus in a 1 vs 1 fist fight, even with Navia's aid. He lost to Oenomaus easily in the sparring bout with Spartacus, who was not even breaking a sweat, and this was Crixus already in peak form by the way. He was stomped by the Egyptian, though this was Crixus not in his peak, and with no shield. Also important info to preserve. Gannicus let him win in their fight, and I don't see him beating a Gannicus going for the win with 100%, let alone a Spartacus. I just don't see him beating the others, as simple as that. Oenomaus. Before he was Doctori, he already fought the Shadow of Death and lived. Though a loss in his eyes, it was a win in many others, cause nobody else ever accomplished such a feat of strength. He was a champion no doubt, and already at such levels since the beginning of Gods of the Arena. He fought his way to the top. As Doctori, he easily beat a peak Crixus and a semi-prime, meaning not fully developed gladiator Spartacus, easily in their sparring bout, with the two-sword fighting style. He was still at champion level as Doctori, clearly visible. He is easily above Crixus and likely even comparable against the likes of Gannicus and Spartacus, since he taught them ultimately. Oenomaus in Blood and Sand, still at his peak or in Gods of the Arena, as in pre-Theocles, before fighting him and ultimately being injured in that degree, could go against Gannicus or Spartacus in the arena. He has shown his superior being in his fight against Theocles as well as in the sparring bout. That aside, he fought in the pits of the underworld twice and survived that. These are the three feats that make him stand out. Even though he would be able to go against Gannicus and Spartacus in the arena, I doubt he would win against Spartacus, simply because Spartacus reached his level in Vengeance by the end of Blood and Sand as well, and still fought every day and basically honed his skills by the hour, by the day he fought the Romans in. Also, Spartacus was able to take down Theocles and fight him head on for a while alone, without being even close to his current power level. Spartacus also has many more feats than the others in terms of strength, which far outweighed the others. Regarding Gannicus, I'd say it's a close call. Oenomaus and Gannicus were portrayed as equal within Gods of the Arena and the sparring bout they had. I mean, it was only a 5-second sparring bout where they clashed the swords, but you get the point. One was never put above the other. Doctori, in his prime, fights with honor, whereas Gannicus is willing or likely to do something unexpected and unconventional. Also, Gannicus successfully beats someone while blindfolded. Someone else cannot, bring this point across and say he's beaten someone blindfolded. Gannicus is the only one who has ever done so as a gladiator. I gotta give the edge to Gannicus, who ultimately beats Oenomaus and gives him a glorious end, as he said in this series. But I would not say that Gannicus wins each and every time. There might be times, maybe 3 or 4 out of 10 fights they have, that Oenomaus takes the win against Gannicus. Gannicus has by far one of the best feats of strength ever displayed in the series. He successfully became a champion and fought a man blindfolded within the first episode, where he was introduced as champion already. This was the best display of pure raw skill ever. No help, just his own skill and sheer will to win and fight for glory. Gannicus never really lost a fight within the whole series. His loss against Crixus is intentional, so I won't count that in as a loss. Also, we have Kerberos, a basically watered down version of Theocles in terms of strength and size. I mean, just look at this guy. Gannicus was able to take down such an opponent on his own. Even though he had short help from Crixus in the end, it was basically a one-on-one between the both, with Kerberos being much higher in size and strength. Yet, Gannicus beat him and won his freedom. No other gladiator managed. His feat against Spartacus in their fight was also really well done. However, when Spartacus and Gannicus fought in vengeance, this was Gannicus being enraged, and Spartacus still managed to keep Gannicus at bay. The words Spartacus spoke being, I quote, "Loyalty is a quality you seem unfamiliar with," hit Gannicus deep because of the past in the Ludus for Gannicus. So Rage Gannicus fought Spartacus but was unable to beat him ultimately. Spartacus also didn't fight with 100% as he saw a potential ally in Gannicus, because it makes no sense for Spartacus to go in for the kill and fight in 100% capacity if he sees a potential ally in Gannicus, and Gannicus, as Spartacus knows, was a former brother of the Ludus of Borealis, you know? Another instance is the Egyptian. Gannicus was not able to solo him unless he was in rage mode, as we saw, whereas Spartacus easily knocked him down with one sword only as well, not his primary fighting style, whereas Gannicus was unable to do so without rage and his two swords. Gannicus could easily solo the Egyptian in proper circumstances, I don't have a doubt in that, but Spartacus proved the bigger threat and gladiator in this instance. I believe that the makers of the show wanted to indirectly hint that Spartacus is the superior fighter overall, with the Egyptian as a short villain for the short while he was introduced in. Gannicus also stated that Spartacus has him by fucking spear. Speaking of the other two champions, Gannicus would win against Crixus every time. Would it be without difficulty? No, but Gannicus would still win each time, almost at least. There might be 2, maybe maximum 3 of 10 fights where Crixus gets the upper hand and wins against Gannicus, but overall, I would not put Crixus above Gannicus in any way. Against Oenomaus, I'd say Gannicus wins 7 out of 10 times should they engage in the arena. Against Spartacus, it's hard to say. Gannicus was never entirely fully trained through for a fight. In the state we saw him as in the series, I'd say Spartacus beats Gannicus 7 out of 10 times against Gannicus, simply because of the feats in the series, and the Egyptians fight with both of them. The Egyptian was also able to push both Gannicus and Oenomaus back at the same time. Give us Gannicus training for the fight specifically against Spartacus, and I would put Gannicus and Spartacus both equal in any case. But keep in mind that the numbers I'm saying, for example 6 or 7 out of 10 times for win, are, in my opinion of course, should they ever fight in the arena, situations can be different, fights can be different, circumstances can be different, so always take this with a grain of salt. Spartacus. Where should we begin? He was already gifted as he came to the Ludus, being condemned to slavery and death and surviving execution. It's not something all gladiators can speak of. He killed multiple gladiators at the same time in his untrained form. He earned his way to the top, beat Crixus in the test, and was superior to all other newcomers. He stood his ground against Theocles for a while on his own. He truly became his peak in episode 8, as he was seen in flashbacks winning and fighting in the arena as the true Spartacus when he accepted his fate. He never lost a fight afterwards, which is a really, superior feat to many others. Gannicus can say the same, he also never really lost a fight afterwards. I don't count the loss against Crixus, so yeah. Spartacus was truly at his peak in season 1 at the end, as well as in War of the Damned in the last season, after the rebellion truly took shape in vengeance. He chopped the Egyptian in half with only one sword in a calculated manner in a heated fight against multiple Romans. Also, Spartacus never encountered someone with 2 daggers before, making this the more impressive. His fight against Gannicus, Spartacus was able to hold Gannicus at bay, not without injury of course, but Spartacus had no reason to fight 100% with the intent to kill Gannicus, cause he saw a potential ally and Gannicus was a former brother of the Ludus. He would 100% beat Crixus in any fight they would have. Against Oenomaus, it would be really difficult, but Spartacus surpassed his former Doctori and would grant Oenomaus a glorious death in the arena, though of course not without scars in my opinion. Against Gannicus, Spartacus would surely struggle a lot, but ultimately win the fight. I don't say Spartacus would win each and every fight against Gannicus nor Oenomaus, you know, but most of them. For Gannicus, unless Gannicus decides to train properly and prepare, then they are even, except for the spear, as Gannicus stated. That aside, Spartacus fought an entire war and still beat Crixus with ease, and stopped his super move easily. Also, bigger opponents such as Theocles are no issue for Spartacus, cause this was proven when Spartacus beat Cydulus easily, a man twice his size, similar to Kerberos. The best feats of all the 4 champions are Crixus beating the Jackal brothers and becoming champion ultimately, being able to compare himself against Gannicus in a fight, Oenomaus surviving the pits and Theocles, and beating Crixus and Spartacus in their bout, Gannicus winning blindfolded, beating Kerberos, winning his freedom and ultimately killing the Egyptian, Spartacus surviving the arena, beating Crixus in the test, killing 6 gladiators on his own in the arena, and beating the Egyptian as well as Crixus with beating an army of Romans beforehand. And ultimately, this is how I would rank each of the 4 champions given their feats and their power levels, and how I would rank them should we have a scale of power levels or something of that sort. And Spartacus stands on top. I cannot say anything else. Spartacus is the true top GOAT of the entire series, and this was proven multiple times. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on my next Spartacus video.